Everybody, welcome to Between the Covers. My name is Bradley Shaw, and this evening we're talking with Jill Wells, author of Bub Tub Volume 1, which is a children's book or a young child's book of short tales, adventure tales of a horse and a dog. So please do, Jill, tell us more about Bub Tub's adventures.
Well, Bub is a little grey pony, and his best mate is a little black and white dog called Tub. And Tub is a really mischievous little character, and they get into all sorts of scrapes. They run away and get lost. They have a circus at one stage, or the children organise a circus, and
Just chaos.
Tub
Just
loves
troublemakers.
Yeah, Tub loves teasing other animals, and he gets into all sorts of scrapes for doing that.
Yeah.
And, he hides one day when the children are going away and gets lost.
Oh my goodness.
At the outback of their playground, and they swim in the creek, and they've got lots of space to run about and do all sorts of things in. And
Awesome.
There's kangaroos and kookaburras and other animals in it as well.
Wonderful, awesome. And it's a very beautiful book. It's a very well-written book. It's very fresh, and it's an honest book. And I think that's really part of its charm, is it's just a simplified honesty of animals, children, people just relating to each other. I really enjoyed that. So did you find writing those constructed stories difficult, like sitting down? Because I know you've got an interesting way you created these particular stories, which I'd like you to share. But was it a challenge to actually sit down and write those stories again into a book format?
Not really. I think I'm just full of nonsense, to be honest. I started off because the first story, I was putting my grandchildren to bed. That was when they were a lot smaller then, and it was late, and they wanted a story, and I said, no, it's far too late. So I said I'd sit outside their two bedrooms, which were next door to each other, on the floor, and tell them a story. And that's how Bub Tub started. Yeah. And then I was actually travelling back to England the next day, and they loved it so much. They said, can we have another one? Can we have another one, Granny? So we had a stopover in Dubai for a couple of hours. So I sat in the lounge in Dubai on my laptop and just typed up another story. And then, of course, I got nagged into writing more and more and more, and they just evolved, and the characters became more lovable to me, I think, as well.
That's great. That's great, because that's really great motivation.
Yes, can we have more money? Yes.
It's in demand, so you can't really get away from it. That's awesome.
No.
So, in this book as well, the construct of the stories, we included an animation or illustration content. We gave the characters a life and a picture in the book. Did you find the collaboration process in writing and illustrating a difficulty? Because, No,
not at all. I think it's been very. The illustrations are good, and I've enjoyed seeing somebody else's take on the characters. Actually,
good.
Really good. I think the Little Grey Pony is based on one of the ponies one of my children had, because they all had ponies and did mountain games and all sorts of things. And I've known hundreds of dogs a bit like Tub, I think, as well. So they're based on real animal characters.
Yeah, and that's their personalities come across in the story. I think you reflected those really well. And that's why I said there's an authenticism to them that makes them, enjoyable, that they're almost real personalities. But obviously you've found that in the animals you've had, which is wonderful. So, with the construct of a children's book, you write literature in quite a varied genres. Like you've got a very broad scope, I guess, of talented writing ability. Did you find anything harder or challenging in the children's book process outside of a normal fiction style book?
Not really, no. I think you just have to put yourself in the mindset of a child and things that children like. Maybe I'm a bit childish, I don't know. But yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. What I have done in some of the stories is, children have worries when they're little, don't they?
Yeah.
So some of the stories, like there's one story where Emily the little girl is afraid of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to portray a story where she's suddenly not afraid of the dark. Her dad and Tub and Bub and that help her get over that fear.
Yeah.
And there's 1 or 2 stories like that.
Yeah.
And like when one of the children gets lost and
the worry.
Yes, that's right. So I've tried to sort of have a few things in there like that, but not make it preachy.
No. But do you feel it's important that children's books have a content element that children learn from, even not, as you say, preach to them, but just they understand certain dynamics of the story that just gives them some realization, I guess, on perspectives as well, because children don't always see, as they're growing, they don't always see all the elements.
No, I think it is important that children have some sort of, not all stories have to be like that, but just to have the odd thing in there that might help them if they've got a worry or if there's something that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. No, that's good. And that's...
Even like Tub teasing a snake. In the second story, Bub tells him off. But even things like that, children pick up on and hopefully listen to.
And they'd understand that's probably not a cool thing to do, definitely. So how many hours do you write at the moment? Like, what's your writing schedule like for you?
Well, because I've got probably a bit more time now, 3 or 4 hours a day, maybe.
Wow, fantastic.
It depends on what I'm doing, obviously. So some days I don't go near the computer or whatnot, but then other days I'll sit quite a lot of the day at the computer. It just depends what's going on.
And do you plot and plan a lot? Do you have a lot of research time as well, or is it just straight out you use that block of time with both writing and researching or designing books?
Yes, that's right.
So
it that way.
No, that's good. That's good use of hours. You've got a good chunk of the day, which you're lucky too, which is nice because you can put that time to it too. It gives you a bit more attention.
Every afternoon I have a swim because I've got a pool, and when I'm in the pool, I'm thinking about what I'm writing as well, which is good thinking time.
Good. So the just on the theme of children's books, let me ask you this one: what do you recall as being your favourite of a children's book, but also in your sense favourite as a parent that you read to your children? So what as you grew up, you had your favourites. What was the difference as you having your children?
Well, I love Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, that's great. I love that too.
And then as I was a bit older, probably Black Beauty and Treasure Island, and I used to read all sorts of books. I don't think I've got a huge favourite. I love what's it called? The Silver Brumby. And Apex the Warrior. I mean, they gave me an early love of Australia when I was a little girl. So
that's awesome. And what did you read to your children? The same? Did you feel you shared what you enjoyed as children, or did you find they had a different period of different response to different?
No, I think they mostly enjoyed the same as me. I think things have changed more now than they had probably when my children were growing up. But all my children are big readers, and as soon as they could read for themselves, they didn't want mum reading to them.
No, but that's one of the things, the reason I asked those questions is one of the elements that I loved about your book is that it is old style story time book that you used to have when you were, back in the 50s, 60s as a kid, and, mum or grandma would read them, and, and it's that old style Winnie the Pooh, as you said, flavour that the layout of that book is so beautiful. Shared with animals, shared with people's interactions. So, I was just curious if that was an influence as well. Your love of those books obviously comes through that style of writing them. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's where it all comes from, really.
And how long does it normally take you to write a book when you put a few hours a day in? How long do you find yourself having something, completed
I just told you I'd finished a manuscript, and it's probably taken me 6 6-7 months.
Okay. That's good.
I'm just
second, third, fourth drafts. How many drafts? How many sort of times do you look
I
through?
only ever do 2.
Very good. Well
I
done.
don't. Once I've written it down, apart from changing perhaps the odd sentence or the odd paragraph, I don't actually change anything. And I think
It's just more a correctional process. Just
yes, that's right.
idea.
I just think. I think if I started to toy with things, I'd probably mess it up.
You're worried, yeah. And other ways too, is if you start toying with it, you generally start evolving into a whole new element of the story. You think, oh no, and you end up doing more work on some plot line that probably isn't what you wanted originally. So
No,
I agree, it can be quite overwhelming sometimes. You just got to stop and just let the book be, ready as it is. Give it to the editors.
That's exactly right.
It's their problem. So do you have any suggestions for up and coming other children book writers or authors looking to get a start? What would you say to them from your experiences?
Oh, look round and see what things children like, what engages them, if you like.
Yep.
And animals and things like that, I think, are something that all children relate to. And little things, puppies and kittens and and all sorts of things like that, little children can relate to. And just make up stories around them. I mean, that seems to me to be quite a good way to go.
Do you find yourself in bookstores looking at the children's books and the books that are out? Do you find a lot of ideas out there that and designs? How do you feel now about children's books in the marketplace? How do you see them?
Well, I don't see them too much now because all my grandchildren are getting older, but I mean, some children's books are absolutely delightful, and some I pick up and I think, really?
Yes, the desensitization of society is certainly evolving into children's books, that's for sure. They're becoming a lot more elements and themes that I think when I was a kid I would never have come across to the degree of children's books themes now, which is not a negative. It's good that kids get exposed in a way, in the right way, maybe exploratory way that they can learn from, but as you say, understand. But some of them, yes, I agree. I'm a bit surprised that some of the themes come up as they do. At that target age, really. There's age breaks. I think they should have different exposures, but some are very young. So if you had to go back in time to when you were a young mum and you were going to tell yourself something about what you know now in the future, would you tell yourself in the past? Did you say, give yourself some advice? What would you look at?
Oh, that's a very deep question.
It's a long list for those people too. It's like, okay, I've got all this, and this. No, so one thing that you would tell yourself, like, what would you say and recommend?
What would I recommend my older self to do? Is what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. So, what tips would you share?
Quite a lot of things, really.
One thing.
One thing. To be true to yourself, I think, and to be true to yourself and look out for yourself. And that's a difficult question.
So is there more adventures of Bub Tub coming?
Yes, there's one going to be out, I think, in August. Another 15 stories.
Yes.
And, because it's kind of a progression, the stories. So there'll be Jim and Emily and Bub Tub and Trixie will all be in it, but it progresses further on. So
you're growing the characters through the stories as the kids grow up themselves through like a natural time frame, or
yes.
So there could be quite a few more books of Bub Tubs to come.
There could be, yes, there could be. I haven't really thought of that.
No pressure. But yeah, we'd like one tomorrow. That's really great. So what are your goals? What are you really looking forward to over the next, couple of years now writing? What's your big goals for writing?
To just write better, write more. Yes, really just that. And just enjoy writing, really, because I do love it. And sometimes I think, what the manuscript I've just finished, I suppose, I think it's probably a bit dark, if you know what I mean, but not quite like the others. But anyway, we'll see.
That's okay.
As long as my main goal always is for, not with a children's book, obviously, but for adult books, I just want them to be believable.
Yep.
I don't really buy into something that people could read it and think, well, that's just ridiculous. That wouldn't have
Yes, that's why I don't write my memoirs.
I could write some memoirs that were ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I don't want to write that story. Could you imagine? Oh, yes. So what do you think, in a way too, what would you say are common traps for new writers? Like, if you've learnt things as you've gone along the journey, what do you think for new other writers coming up?
I think a lot of writers, especially when they send a manuscript off, say to you or somebody else, they expect an immediate response.
Yes. And
they also expect their book to be published next week. And
yes.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was somebody that rang me up actually talking about your business, and he said, what do you advise me? And I said, well, the best thing, what do you think? And I said, well, just remember to be very, very patient, because it's not a quick process.
Well, it isn't, and that's the strategy. Like, you have to understand, it's not just preparation for the books, but it's also preparation for the market, for the readers, finding readers. It's a big planet. There's a lot of books out there. You want your book to be standing out at the right time, have the best chance. And of course, you can't do that quickly. And I don't think that's fair to an author who's put so much time and so much effort and so much energy and even investment into their product, into their book and their talent. I think we're shortchanged if we tried to just say, we'll whack it out in 3 months and we just don't care. I don't think that's going to be beneficial to anyone.
No, that's not beneficial to anybody.
No, especially for us as a publisher. We also invest in with you, and we want to make sure we all get, the readers enjoy it, and the product's right, the book looks fantastic, and I think we've achieved that for you in this book, and you've written it in such a way it deserves that. I'm really proud of the book, and I'm proud of you. So well done.
Thank you very much.
So just tell me on that level too, what do you hope, in that sense, the readers themselves, like what do you hope your audience gets out of Bub Tub? What are you looking for the
I hope
readers?
They get lots of enjoyment, a few giggles, and a few maybe a way of looking at animals a little bit differently. Maybe they're not just animals, there's a brain in there as well.
Definitely.
A lot of animals to a lot of people are just animals, but they're not really. They've all got, most of them think.
Oh gosh, yeah. And they've got personalities all of their own.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, our golden retriever is just probably like, textbook mood swings. You can just sort of see where she's sitting, what she's doing, what she's thinking as she stares you down. It's nice. So that's what's so charming, is that she's got such a honest expression and interaction.
And I love the way that even if you tell an animal off or do something and doesn't, it forgives you straight away.
Yep.
They don't ever hold grudge.
No, thankfully, luckily for short-term memory. So. Within means, of course, But that's really great. So tell us, for you, what's your writing kryptonite? When you're trying to write and create, and you're swimming and you're trying to set those hours aside, what hinders you? What stops you from really getting you feel the best out of yourself?
What stops me? Well, sometimes if I'm not in a very good mood.
So you're not in the right place.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit not overwhelmed, but suddenly sometimes I'll feel a bit defeated with if things go, not things writing things, but things outside of that you've got no control over. Life. Sometimes if I feel a bit fed up about something, I don't feel like writing, and then I'll pull my socks up and actually sit down and write, and it makes me feel better. So,
good.
I
so,
don't really.
So for our local Queensland viewers, As of the date this week is it's the 10th, 11th of February we're recording. Where are you heading off to? So they may be able to come and see you. I think there's a number of libraries you're actually over the next week or two endeavouring to. So
Yes,
promote that a little.
I will be in Roma on Monday. I think Surat on Tuesday, Wandoon on Wednesday, Injune on Thursday, and Mitchell on Friday.
Fantastic. Well done. Big week.
Next week. And then at the end of April, I've got 6 more libraries to do in and around Chinchilla. Those
Excellent.
Chinchilla, Mooney, Bell, and I can't remember what the other ones are.
Wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to update our Facebook page with that information as well. So we'll promote those little book signings and readings and so forth at those libraries. So let us, you flick that over to me in writing. I'll make sure that's updated. I also just want to thank you so much for your time today. But I want to ask you before we leave, would you mind, for the viewers, just reading a couple of snippets of the beautiful Bub and Tub stories for us?
Okay. Well, I'll read you a little bit about how Tub first came to live with Emily as a half-grown puppy. Emily's father, John, found him wandering about in town when he went to get some things he needed. No one knew who his parents were. He was rather a mixture of breeds. The beautiful Kelpies that were kept as cattle dogs looked down on him and teased him lots, especially as he had little short legs and a rather large body. Mostly he took no notice, but sometimes it made him rather sad. I wish I was different, he said to Bub. You're great the way you are, and Emily loves you, she said. That's all you need worry about. Anyway, time marched on, and Emily fell off her pony one day, and she hit her head, so she was slightly unconscious, and her hands were caught in the reins. So Bub said, I can't move. I might hurt Emily. What shall we do? So Tub said, hang on, I will get help. And off he raced as fast as his little short legs would carry him, up the hill and down the other side, across the paddock to the homestead where, panting heavily, he barked and barked as best he could. Emily's mother came out, wiping her hands on the towel. Be quiet, you noisy dog, she scolded. Tub ran backwards a few paces, then forwards again, still barking. John, called Emily's mother, something must have happened to Emily. Do something quick. John rushed to the yard and saddled his horse, while Tub ran round and round barking. Then he set off across the paddock. Emily's dad soon caught up with him and had to go more slowly because Tub couldn't go any faster. However, it wasn't long before he could see Bub in the distance and galloped off to her. Emily was sitting up looking rather dazed, but otherwise all right. Bub was so good not to move and hurt my arm where it was tangled in the rein, she said. Tub was so good. Did you run and get help? Said Emily's dad. Quite a star. After that, the Kelpies treated Tub with a lot more respect, as he was now a hero.
That's gorgeous. That's wonderful. Well done. It is a beautiful book, and it is, and you know, just the natural interaction, as you say, of the animals and you kept them authentic, real. Like, you know, dogs do bark; they're not going to talk to, you know, humans. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that bit. And for everybody out there watching, please do grab a copy of Bub and Tub, Volume 1. And it is a wonderful book. I think you can share it with your family. You can share it with generations of your family. It's very natural and authentic, and it's available everywhere great books are sold as of the 15th, I think, February. So that's only a few days away now. But thank you, Gillian, for your time and for your talent. And we look forward to more great things coming from you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No worries. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Now.